Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 154, the entertainment podcast where we talk about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing, John?
Very good, doing very good. We had this episode, we have a couple of audio issues up ahead or whatever. So if you notice any sort of weird cut, don't worry about it. It'll be over in a second. It'll be over in a second.
It'll all be over soon. It's not us. It's the technology. It's you. No, I'm just kidding. It's the technology.
Yeah. But we're going to be here tonight to talk about the latest Bond novel that we've read. We've been going through them, particularly trying to hit the ones with anniversaries. This is not one of those, but we know Andrea has to go in order.
That's right.
So we're going in order.
Yeah, it's my quirk. So I do like things in a particular order, as we've debated so many times vis-a-vis Star Wars. So
yes,
it's just carrying right on over into the Bond universe.
Right. So Diamonds Are Forever is the book up tonight. So I've got my very old used copy that I read. Yeah. So it's so old, doesn't smell good anymore.
You would definitely find that at like some garage sale or like secondhand store somewhere, and I would love that.
Yeah, I've been having fun, like kind of randomly buying the different ones at half price books and stuff. Yeah, it stains them and stuff or whatever, but it's just like fun to try to get an old copy. So
it adds Diamonds to the Are ambiance. Forever.
It does. Yeah, takes me back. That's what we'll be talking about. Probably have a little bit of movie comparison in there, but not too much because they're so radically different. And but before all that, we're gonna have our weeks, figure out what we've been watching, and then we should talk about drink holidays.
Absolutely. Right. We actually start off the month at November 2nd with International Stout Day. Not a drink that's totally my favorite, but a drink I'm more likely to choose in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If I am going to get like a beer, it's usually going to be like a darker ale or a stout in the wintertime. Get a little heartier. And then you move right along on November 7th to International Merlot Day. I am celebrating that, kind of, which I will talk about in just a minute. November 8th is a great day. I haven't had one of these in a long time, but it's Harvey Wallbanger Day, which is so much fun to say. And a very refreshing morning time drink.
Okay. All right. I've heard of it. I'm sure we've covered it in years past, but.
Yep. It's vodka, orange juice. So it's basically a twist on a screwdriver because it's vodka, orange juice, and a little bit of Galliano, which is like an Italian liqueur.
I have some of that, actually.
Well, there you go. You can make yourself a wallbanger.
No orange juice, though.
Okay, well, yeah, that's key also.
The more common ingredient, yeah.
Yeah. And it is also shot day. So, whatever, pick your poison, your favorite shot.
Easy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mine are usually of the tequila variety, but you do you.
Got a bottle right over there. It's always waiting. It's always ready.
Pass it to me.
Yeah.
And then November 12th, again, kind of a more general day, happy hour day. So if you're a fan of the, post-work evening hour cocktail, as our friend James Bond definitely is, that is a day for you. Moving right along, November 14th and 15th, they're kind of closing out our wine celebrations with Tempranillo Day and Zinfandel Day.
Okay.
So yeah, really a big wine.
Tempranillo is either.
I believe we've covered this in the past, and I believe it's this particular wine from a region of Spain.
Okay.
But I think it's like the Tempranillo grape. That's like the
makes sense.
Kind of reason why it's like a different vintage blend. I don't know how to classify that. Clearly, like I drink wine, but I don't know that much about it. So,
yeah. Oh, it's
But
fun.
yeah,
I
so
get
those are our wine holidays. I am celebrating kind of well, there you go. Was in Portugal. Oh, it
okay.
is in Spain too, though. Okay. So it's definitely regional.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's like specific regions. But yeah, so I am celebrating Merlot Day, but kind of like also like a general yay wine. So
Okay.
I have a drink here that I made. It's
Okay.
called a grape on grape sour, and it's
Mm,
gin, simple syrup, lemon, and then also you start off by like muddling grapes in the cocktail glass, and then you add the gin, simple syrup, lemon, shake it up, pour it out, and then you top it with the red wine of your choosing. And I chose Merlot. So because I was doing
cool.
like the muddled red grapes, I was just sort of like, all wines are made from grapes. Yay, cheers.
Nice. And you looks like you got like good separation there. Is that between
Yep.
the gin and the wine?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. It's a technique. You
Nice.
just like you do everything except the wine, and then you like use a
The
spoon,
spoon.
pour the
Mhm.
wine on, and then it separates out like that.
Nice.
But
Cool.
it is delicious.
It looks delicious. Yeah.
Yep, very
I'm
good.
just getting like grape juice vibes now. Like I know it doesn't taste like that. It just like the look of it and the
I
mention of
know,
grape,
right?
just
It
craving
looks like a
that.
little kid drink.
Yeah. That's looks great. Very nice.
Thank you.
Um I you can't see my drink per se because I'm using my cool black glass
First
again here.
For a second, I thought you were legit using a coffee mug. I was like
Oh.
like, I thought you were gonna, like, drink wine out of a coffee mug, and I was like, "You know what? You do you, but also little tiny judgment."
I'm just trying to get Dorit's attention. That's all. I'm gonna like clip
"The
it,
glass!
send
The
it at
glass,
her.
John!" She'll
No,
she'll clip back her just full scale meltdown.
right. I'll take it for this response for the attention, Dorit. Let's go. Um, no, I have it's a bourbon and branch water. Uh,
Nice.
it's in
Nice.
the book a lot, popularized, I guess, from Diamonds Are Forever, and
Oh, okay.
it. I was like throughout the book, okay, bourbon and water. You know, I'm just thinking someone's putting some whiskey and a eyedropper of water in there, something like that. People do that to kind of a taste or whatever.
Sure.
But no, the bourbon and branch water. I come to find out the branch water. It's kind of a southern thing. The water was a mineral water, but with the like limestone, it would be filtered through that and filter out the iron. And so the
Mm.
branch is the branches of the like water veins
Oh,
coming
I
through.
get it. Sure, sure, sure.
And so it's kind of region specific. You can buy, I guess, branch water, very like specific, actually, that. Otherwise,
Mhm.
people, I guess, use tap water. So,
Okay.
um, I'm doing the
Did you
best
go
I got.
legit or are you
No, it's coming from the ground. I did non-filtered. Normally I drink the
Okay.
filtered water. So,
Sure.
in my mind, it's as minerally as we got, and we don't. That's what I could do, guys. All right, it's what I could do. I saw a
Yeah.
site talking about it, and they said like if you want to do a bottled water and not buy a more expensive branch water, Fiji water works pretty good
Okay.
for it. So you can make ice cubes from it and then use that. And Bond at one point suggested, or he asked for bourbon and branch water 50-50. So that's what I did. I got 2 shots of this really good Willette bourbon from
Nice.
Kentucky, and 2 shots of water.
Very appropriate. Is that legit from Kentucky? The
Yeah.
bourbon you're
Yep.
drinking? Okay.
Yep.
Very appropriate giving the, like, horse racing that dominates,
Yes.
like, half the book.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we'll get into that. Yes. So, I mean, this is I never really put much stock in like adding water to my whiskey or whatever, but
Mhm.
and then I'm like, I do that all the time for highballs. For That's what
Sure.
Japanese highball is, just whiskey and whiskey and water. So yeah, cheers,
Cheers.
everybody else out there. Raise a glass. You gotta sit back and pour a glass of something when you're gonna be talking about James Bond. So
Absolutely. Especially if you've ever read a book. He drinks more in there than he does in the movies, and I didn't think that was possible.
oh yeah, yep. Okay, before we get into the rest of the Bond stuff, how's your week been looking?
Good, good. I've mostly just been continuing shows that I'm already watching, because I had some other kind of, um, stuff keeping me busy. This week, I applied for a couple of conferences again, so I'm kind of,
Hmm.
like, tiptoeing back into scholarly waters. One of them
Sure.
is in Scotland, so fingers crossed.
Oh my God, Andrea. All right. That'd be fun. Be fun.
Um, yeah, it would be really cool. So I'm really hopeful. The conference is actually 2 days before, Chris and I's 10th anniversary.
Oh
So
my word. I mean,
if if you could
Ashley
come
and I
with
need
me.
something to do for our anniversary too, which happens to be around the similar time frame here.
Exactly.
Hmm. Mhm.
So we're sort of
Okay.
thinking if maybe he could sneak away for a couple of days, that would be a pretty cool 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
If I get
Yep.
in. So, we'll see.
Right. Well, cross my fingers for you.
Thank you, thank you. When I was not working on my conference proposal, I watched some more Great British Baking Show. Obviously, that falls in the whole mood of applying to Scotland. There is actually
Mhm.
a Scottish woman contestant on there who is adorable, and I love her. I don't think she's
Nice.
gonna win, but she's a lot of fun. Um, Watched some more Fall of the House of Usher, which is keeping me just interested enough to continue. I'm really hoping that there's gonna be like a I don't know, just something to pick up the pace, kind of a jolt, because kind of right now I'm feeling like I know where a lot of things are heading. So I'm hoping they're gonna throw me a twist soon
Okay.
because everything is just good enough to keep watching right now. It's not like amazing.
Mhm.
So we'll
Okay.
see. And then I watched 2 more episodes of Blue Eye Samurai. So I am through episode 3 on that show. Loving that. It is
Okay.
excellent. And then I
Nice.
did start Insidious Red Door because I noticed it was available on Netflix, and I
Okay.
love that series. So I
Mhm.
was like, I would really love to see it, and I started it and just haven't, had the time to keep watching, but it's really good so far.
It's good so far? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been on the list. I don't know. I've been so out of Insidious for a long time. It's like,
Yeah.
should I be rewatching all these movies or just jump in? I don't know.
I did. I watched the first 2 again.
Okay. Okay.
But that was, like, back in October when we were, like, maybe gonna watch Insidious Red Door as it
Right.
released. So I just
Yeah.
watched those 2, and then I felt, like, fresh enough there that I could just jump right into this one.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I don't think knew it was on Netflix. We
I
were
didn't
like
either. I just, like,
debating.
stumbled on it weirdly.
Yeah, we were debating like buying all of them or something because I don't think we have them. So,
Sure.
but yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
I do want
I
to
was,
I would like to watch some like holiday times are coming, and now it's like we've got stuff going every day. Basically, it feels like,
Mhm.
and it's be nice to get in some British baking show or holiday something or another cooking competition. It's
Yeah,
always
I mean, I can't say enough about Great British Baking Show, and if you're not in for, like, a whole season, they have their holiday version that you can watch, and those are just, like, usually 4 to 5 episodes, pretty tight
okay.
seasons. They're fun.
Nice. I've been like I haven't been watching all that much. This
Sure.
week I've been trying to read when I can read this book. I literally finished it tonight. Um,
Me
so
too.
it's it. it's sad because it's not a long book, and I started a long time ago, and then work happened and all kinds of other stuff, and so I really did read it in odd chunks, which is
Same.
unfortunate. But it's yeah, I got through half the book or whatever in the last couple days or something. So, but I did before that read some other stuff. It's been a little while coming, but I want to talk about another comic book that I read. Two of them really
Mm.
now. So Fiendish. Fiendish is an independent comic book by Irene Strychalski, and Rick calls her Rini. She seems a really nice person, and she does this is what she does. Like she does most of it, I think, except for the colors, but
Okay.
she draws it and she writes it. So, and it's really like does a lot of world building in this. You can tell she's put a lot of time into um, creating her map of like the continent and all the cities and the
Mhm.
different people that are in there. And she actually made her own language for it, and kind of
Very
rune
cool.
symbols and stuff like that. So it's really
That's awesome.
dedicated and into like creating a world building thing that she seems to intend to go on for a long time. So you can go to fiendishcomic.com and you can like look at a bunch of that stuff to kind of
That's
see if you're
awesome.
interested in that sort of lore and all that. So basically, Fiendish is you'll see the art style is sort of like, I don't know what you just call it, like anime
Mm,
inspired, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's not like a typical comic style.
It really is kind of her own as far as I can
It's
tell.
I mean, it's a little it reminds me of certain webtoons as well.
Sure, right. Yeah. So in here, like this is nice the way it's like
Yeah.
uses a large space here. It's not broken
Yeah,
up
I
by a
love
ton of
that.
different little panels. You know, it really is a
Mhm.
nice spread. Some of the paneling is, is pretty dynamic. Colors are rich.
Mhm.
People are really expressive, that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
basically, a story about like this kid that has a tragic event. His village is like invaded by some sort of monsters as a kid or whatever. And time, he kills everybody he likes, loves, and all that stuff. And as time goes on, eventually it's like, are these monsters back? Like the things from his
Mm.
past haunts him. So he's traveling
Sure.
now with a younger companion, and they're bumping into some other people that kind of look like they're forming a little bit of alliance or something like that to figure out what's going on with these monsters in the land. And so yeah, I read chapter one a while ago, and right away I thought it was really engrossing. Um, the art style isn't my favorite, but it set up a lot of cool stuff. And
Sure.
again, I've talked a lot about buying these
Ooh,
like
that's
independent
cool.
comics
Yeah.
and the pacing of them. Yeah, it looks
Mhm.
it looks awesome, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this feels like not only is it obviously continuing, but there's enough meat in volume one to be satisfying for a volume one. So I thought
Sure.
that was important. And I got both. I got volume two at the same time, and volume two came with some art cards. These are
Cool.
actually art from a fan art contest. Some of like the
Cool.
winners or whatever. And our friend Dustin actually entered the fan art contest for
He
this.
did. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, sometime you'll have
Oh,
to
he's
ask
got
him to
great
see
stuff.
the piece. It's
Yeah. I would love
it's
to.
really good. So I got now for volume two, I got the saucy cover. I got the saucy edition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Girl.
So um no, it's like it was pretty clear. It doesn't say fiendish anywhere on it, so it's like a naked cover in more ways than one, I guess. And I feel like the art got better in this one.
Mhm.
I don't know how
Sure.
much time separated them really between working on them, but I do enjoy some of the art more in here. And
Mhm.
this story just kind of ramped up from here. We got more information on sort of another race of people that are here and just the way society sees them and treats them and stuff like that. And so that was just kind of adding to the depth of the world. And they
Mhm.
teased us at the end of the first one with this character, and then we got to
Sure.
meet her a little more in this one. So it's a really good, just like kind of unique new fantasy world. All its own made up rules and
Mm.
people and places and everything.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah.
like those panels, like the color on
hmm
those. Yeah, it's always I mean,
So
I think it's always a good sign when somebody takes that much time to world build. I mean, obviously, like, having a site where you can go and, like, draw out the maps, check out the language, like, somebody's putting time and care, and you hope that, like, that translates into putting time and care into the story, and it sounds like so far, yes.
hmm like here in the back is the
Oh,
like
cool.
alphabet and the map and stuff like that and different ruins. And
That's
so
awesome.
just a lot of care and attention. Like you say, it's I really enjoyed it. I'm hope they're doing I think the next thing is a 2.5, which I believe is sort of exploring a backstory to one of
Okay,
our couple of our main characters. And
sure.
yeah, I don't know how long it'll take for that to come out, but I hope it's sooner than later because in all the independent comic books I've read, this one feels like the most mainstream and digestible.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want someone to take that as some sort of uh, insult. It just feels like a thing that should be deserves to be big and a lot of people could enjoy, you know?
Mm, mhm.
Um, because like I really liked I reviewed it not too long ago. Oh shoot, what is it called? Well, I'll think of it later, I guess. But I reviewed another comic book that I actually raved about. Really, really enjoyed it. But I would say it's a more niche audience. And
Sure,
I think with the detail and the art, it's going to take a long time between each book. I just
sure.
think this this could go feels like it could go on along for a long time, and a lot of people could really like it. So
Did you review it here? Did you review it on the anime podcast?
no, here, yeah, it's
Here.
here.
Was that,
Um,
like, the skeleton
it's
one?
So Kenneth Roquefort is the was the artist and writer of it. It's his book. I'm just
Sure.
blanking on his name right now. Oh, Grogan,
Oh, okay,
Grogan,
yeah.
Volume 1 and 2. So
Yep,
yeah,
yep. I was thinking of a
yeah.
different one.
I've read a lot that are they're really good, but just this one, I could see this on store shelves and a lot of people really liking it. It fits in that
Mhm.
space somewhere between like a Western comic and a manga, like you say, with a kind of popular sort of webtoon style. It can almost see like like it's a softer version of what you'd see in Solo Leveling or something like that.
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
yeah, so Fiendish by Irene, check it out.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading this week.
Yeah, yep. And I've been reading another manga. I'm halfway through that. I'll talk about when I'm done with it. And that's about it. Like I watched a ghost show, I guess, and it's otherwise it hasn't been a lot of oh, and then anime, but I'll talk about it on the anime podcast. I did
Sure.
start Ashley and I both started Apothecary Diaries on
Where do
Crunchyroll.
I know that.
I think it was
Where
brought up maybe on the podcast. I
okay.
think maybe Phil
Where's
said
that
he watched the
available?
first episode or something. Crunchyroll.
Okay.
It's on
Hmm,
Crunchyroll, and we watched as many episodes as we could in English. Um, just felt like watching in English, and
sure.
it's really good. It's more
You
of
run
a
into the
it's
same,
had a,
like, Jujutsu Kaisen problem where there's only a certain amount available in English?
yeah. Theoretically should be a few weeks behind, you know,
Sure.
and so that's fine. If we're not covering for the podcasts, we on a weekly basis just watch it however, and um, it's been good. I mean, I
Hmm,
think you'd like
okay.
it quite a lot actually. It's a little more
Yeah.
of a shoho kind of thing. It feels lighthearted, but like, there's emotional beats to it and it's just fun. The main character is kind of quirky and It's
Sure.
different. There's something about it that harkens back to like a little bit older of an anime, but it really is. I don't know. It's been a pleasant, fun show to watch. So
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's getting really great reviews, so, yeah, maybe I'll have to start that.
yeah. Okay. Looks like we have one news story, huh? You found a little something here?
Oh, just like a little something to jumpstart our James Bond, um, you know, discussion.
Yeah.
I didn't know that today was the day, apparently 28 years ago, that Pierce Brosnan made his debut as Bond in Goldeneye, which is one of my favorite films.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's
good.
awesome. Um,
So, I mean, we should definitely talk about it in sadly, we should talk about it in like 2 years when it hits its 30th anniversary, because
yes.
that's what we've been doing. But I just wanted to like, because it happened today and we're gonna talk about James Bond, how fortuitous is that?
We'll be able to talk about it again in, you know, as 30th. It'll be fine
For
here.
sure.
But it's not like we'll run out of things to say probably. Um, so I was 7 when it came
Not
out.
knowing us.
Yeah. Um, did you did you see this one in the theaters, or when did you
No,
recall when you saw this first?
I do. It definitely was not in the theater, sadly. It was at home. I think I think I was by myself.
Okay.
It just
Aw, sad Andrea.
right, I
By
know,
herself.
right? All by
In her back
myself.
brace, and like
Right,
oh
with my no
man.
friends, just
Yeah. Aw.
um, aw, now we're real sad. Um, no, but I mean, I think I was just, like just really in, like, a James Bond phase. So I think I, like, rented the movie from Blockbuster,
Okay, yeah.
and watched it, just solo and just, I don't know, fell in love with it. I remember it being one of the few, like, VHS tapes that I made my parents hold on to for a really long time because I loved it
Right.
so much. That one, there was one other one, and we had, I don't know why my dad bought this one, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Mhm.
I made them hang on to that too. We kind of had, like, a very scattered collection of James Bond movies. But yeah,
Sure.
this one I remember just, like, loving. So good.
Mhm. It is so good, and it still holds up. Like, I have a couple Bond movies set out, that I've been meaning to rewatch because I've kinda been in this mode in this summer, basically, where I'm trying to watch some Bond movies either I just barely remember,
Mhm.
or I've just watched once or something like that. And a lot of them, there's a reason for it. And so it's kinda had me down, like, God, like, I
Gotcha,
just need to
pussy.
see. Yeah, I just, like, I need to see a really good Bond film. I just need to put
Yeah,
on a really good one, and so I have a couple out. This one's one of the options here, to just, like, rekindle that in me because it's kind of sad when usually I can get something out of a Bond movie that I really
sure.
enjoy, but whether it's too many in a row,
Yep.
I don't know. So,
That'll be good that for Russia with Love, or From Russia with Love, excuse me, is coming up because I love that film as well,
yeah,
and I think
yeah,
that one's a really well done one that can hold up.
mhm. No, Goldeneye, I think that, having read some of the books now, like, I think that as you've mentioned before, you think Pierce Brosnan kind of looks the part. So I think
Really
it was
does.
a good casting in that way. And over his years, like Pierce does such a good job of like doing that like hard-nosed thing, but having a lot of fun, like back and
Yes.
forth. It's a really nice balance. Um, and yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
One of the things that I feel like he does really well in the fun that's not in the books at present. I mean, I haven't read the books at all, so I have no idea what's in them for future. Um, but one of the things he does really well is have a great rapport. and banter with Q. And I think
Mm.
that provides a lot of his movies, lighter moments where he says something witty, they have banter, but it's not where, like, Roger Moore, I feel like his banter is often out of place or, like, ill-timed or, like, God,
It's
there's
too
so many
silly.
moments in it's too silly. In Octopussy, there were so many moments where I'm like, "You just added that so he could, like, have a pun or be, like, witty," and it just doesn't make sense. Like, here, those moments make sense to me because they're, like, building a human relationship and, like, doing a little bit of humor together, doing some maybe gallows humor because it is such a dangerous job, like,
Mm.
you gotta make that connection in any way you can, but he's not, like, cracking jokes as he's, like, killing people,
Yep.
so
And like this movie, it did so many things right. Like, so a great casting, and then they put a
mhm.
guy that could be a Bond or very feasibly his rival in
His
the film.
shadow his shadow
Yeah,
self.
so you get Sean Ben in there,
Mhm. So
006.
good.
Awesome. There's such great villains in this movie. Like they're just that right amount of over the top, like extra larger than life, but
Yeah.
still like possible and awesome. Like between
Even
Double O
Oromov,
Six
yeah, works.
or exactly. Yep. Ormov, and then you get on the
Boris.
top, Odis. Yeah, they're
Boris,
all good.
yeah, Xenia, yeah.
Hmm.
Boris is good. I mean, he's like a total clown, but you do really feel it when he, like, portrays Natalia because she really
Hmm.
trusts him, and they spent so much time, like, also building, like, the banter and the rapport. So that's his,
Yep.
like, his good villain moment, even if he is
Yep.
kind of, like, generally ridiculous.
Over here, just constantly great scene, just twirling, twirling, click,
Yeah.
click, twirling,
Oh,
twirling, and then it's
so
like,
good.
Give me the passcode!" Just freaking out. It's
So
great.
good. Yeah. No, that's yeah. I mean, top to bottom, that film is just really well done. I mean, I know Xenia can be a bit much, but because she's the only one who's a bit much, it works. Like, everybody else balances her out so that she can just be, like, crazy and over the top. Like, and
Mhm,
it's not even too far gone. Like, I mean, she is over the top and it's
mhm,
a little like, "Whoa," but it's just on this side of believable, especially because everybody else is so grounded.
mhm. And she can pull herself in and blend in with everybody else. We see her in the
Right,
casino and in different
right.
situations. But then, when you're first introduced to her, you don't have any idea that's the kind of woman she is. But then
Yeah.
like you see the psychopathic nature, and even Ordomov is like, oh man, like, like she's off when she's like getting all hot and bothered from shooting up the vents
Yeah.
because you figure it's like, okay, I
It
guess
is
that's
it
it's
I
just
mean, it is
good.
weirdly like a woman in a relationship where, like, she starts out and she seems so normal on the surface, like you said, we meet her, like, playing baccarat, and she's just, like,
Yeah.
calmly gambling, and then, like, as we and James Bond and Ormov get to know her, it's like she reveals the crazy a little bit at a time until it just, like, ramps up to peak levels. Like,
Yep.
which is what you do, like, you show your best self at the beginning, and then as you, like, get more comfortable with people, you just, like, let them in on the crazy, and her crazy is obviously extra,
Yep.
but that
I've
progression feels like it works.
Mhm. And I really like Natalia Simonova as our main Bond
Mhm,
girl. I always really liked her. I thought her style was cool,
mhm,
accent was cool, and
mhm.
she now again after some of the books feels like she could be out of a Fleming book a little bit more
Yes.
than some other Bond girls, and she I don't know, she's just really cool, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think she's underrated for a Bond girl. It seems,
I agree,
and
and I like that we only had 1 in here. Like, sometimes you have, like, multiple Bond girls in a film, and it feels sort of like,
Y
I don't
yeah,
know.
well, yeah, if you don't count the bad one. Yeah, if you don't count
I mean, but
Xenia.
you don't, not because, like, they don't really I mean, she's a Bond
Sure.
girl, but she's not, like a Bond girl in the, like, we're gonna sleep together way, because they clearly
Right.
don't. Like,
Right.
it starts that way,
Yeah.
and then it does not end that way.
Yeah. They get off in 2 different ways. They're
Yes,
incompatible.
yes.
The 2 things I'd say I don't love about the film. One
Sure.
is pretty commonly stated, I think, they didn't like the score they got. It was a different composer than
Oh,
and
oh,
the
oh,
music
sure.
for it was very different than what you might expect from a Bond film. Now, some of the music I really love. Like there are
Mhm,
certain sounds that just they scream that movie. They are tied to that movie. They're iconic. And then having the video game uses those things too, that sort of
mhm,
tone, really like it is unique and it
mhm.
stands alone. It's kind of like listening. There's certain, you know, the Jaws theme or
Yeah.
the Planet of the Apes, very distinct, very distinct. But there's a few moments in there that are just weird too. Just weird
Yep.
sounds that I don't think worked out so well. And then the cars. They went from like that Aston Martin in Dalton's films. I really love it, the V8 Saloon or whatever. And then in this, they went with these it was a '90s thing. These sort of like rounded corners BMW Z something or another, Z3 or something. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
No, not for this. Not for this.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I agree
sorry
with
to anyone
you.
that owns those cars. They're gross.
No, yeah, I mean, there's a place for the BMW, but it's just not here. And I mean,
Sure.
I know you're talking about this particular BMW, and I agree with you there too.
Mhm.
But I also just don't feel like a BMW is a Bond car
Okay.
in general.
Okay.
It
I
just
mean, they
kind of
put the
doesn't.
fancy ones. It's like Bond kicked them aside again, and then they went into Mission Impossible. That's what they
Yeah.
did.
They also I think Transporter uses BMWs pretty exclusively.
That seems right. I
Um,
think that's the case. Yeah.
so that feels just like more appropriate. I don't know why
Mhm.
here like BMW just seems like not the car, but
I'm okay with the brand in Bond. They want to do BMW. I just really don't like those specific
those
models. Then
specific ones, sure.
yeah. Mhm. So
Well, if you don't like
okay.
those, you would have plenty of different cars to choose from in Diamonds Are Forever because
I know.
holy crap, there's like 60 different cars up in this novel.
Mhm.
I felt
Mhm.
like that was the James Bond element that was really shining through this novel was like, he's got like the gadgets, he's got the girls, he's got the cars. I felt like this
Mhm.
novel was like the cars.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
like the
expect it.
I mean, we got in Moonraker, right? We got some of the like my car versus his car type of thing. But it really
For
wasn't like
sure.
for cars.
This one
And you're
just was
right.
like all the cars.
Mhm.
Like there were so many different like times when he specifically would be like, this guy's driving this thing, this guy's driving, you know what I mean? Like
The red
I
Jag.
just right? I just felt like
Mhm.
or like, Felix's Studelac, the Studebaker Cadillac hybrid, like,
Mhm.
he just really was interested in this book in highlighting the cars. So
Yes. Yep. I did enjoy that part. I sent a couple excerpts to some of my car friends. I thought it
mhm.
was kind of cool. Um, and so many things feel like they're timeless, but then there's things that are very specific that kind of like
Yes.
remind you of the time frame we're in. And yeah, sometimes the car stuff does that, because the car landscape has changed so much, obviously, and the makes that are
Right.
prevalent and some of that.
Right.
Um, so I liked all the car stuff. Did ah, I didn't like, however, all the horse betting stuff so much.
No. No. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna, like, shine through in my nerdiness here. I'm gonna tell you what that whole, like, detour reminded me of. So Saratoga, like, first of all, no, I'll come back to this because I was
Yeah,
very much like this part feels a little unbelievable because James Bond did a thing, he needs to be paid, but it's like so circuitous how he's being paid. Like he lays it out as logical and I was sort of like, yes-ish, but it still feels like a lot for him to go through to like
sure.
travel to these places to get paid and have his
Sure.
expenses like taken care of plus the payment. So Saratoga to me felt as annoying as when I read Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. And he goes off on three different tangents about the French government, the French religion, and the French sewer system. And you were sitting there reading these like huge excerpts of the book, being like, why are you telling me this? Just get back to the freaking story. And that's what Saratoga felt like to me. I was like, this is a large chunk of the book that I could really skip over. Like
Mhm.
this is such a detour. You need to get back to the point of the diamonds here, buddy.
Yeah.
Um, so it felt that way to me. And then it also, when I was in it, the language was so different. It was almost like my brain couldn't comprehend it sometimes. It's like how I imagine people encounter Shakespeare and his
Mm.
language. Like
Mhm.
not just like the iambic pentameter, but like the literal old English language where your brain is like, I don't even think I'm reading words right now. Like
Mhm.
I'm not putting it's so jargony and it's so specific that I don't even know that like my brain can read the sentence, and that's how I felt. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when I read that like phone newspaper article
Yes.
Felix for some rando reason gave him.
It took me so long to get to the next page. I'm
Good
like, I just
God.
started over and I'm like, because my mind just starts going blank
Seriously.
with it.
I yeah, I was like, I don't even know. I don't even know what to do with this.
Mhm.
So,
I
yeah. So that
I put
whole
that in my
like
notes.
yeah, I did too somewhere. I was just like,
Mhm.
I can't. Like, it was fun to spend time with Felix, and it was fun to see him
Yes.
after, him recover after, like, the way we left him in Live and Let Die, getting back to, like,
Right.
his injuries and how he's recovered. It all felt very realistic, given the extent of the injuries he suffered. But, yeah, it was really difficult to spend that much time in Saratoga and be like, "Why are we here?"
It's hard to picture Felix with a hook though, isn't it?
It really is, yes.
I was like, "What?" But yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I completely agree. I put in my notes, all this detail on Saratoga seems unnecessary and like another language
Yeah,
because it showed to me so with the Les Miserables thing, to me it rings as like someone that just wants to get this off their chest. Like it's
yes.
not necessarily important to what we're talking about, but I need to say this, and this is the
It
thing you're going to be
Yep.
reading. So,
It literally is like a personal, like, "I just need to have this in here. Sorry you're gonna suffer through. It has nothing to do with the plot, but here you
mhm.
go."
Mhm. And so it really spoke to, like, Fleming's apparent knowledge of all things gambling,
Yes.
and so whether it be the ponies or whatever, um, it because I really this scene, all the stuff for the at the races reminded me of A View to a Kill, which I watched not all that long
Yeah,
ago,
sure, sure,
and I
sure.
actually really like. It's to me an underrated Bond film, and they have a lot of horse stuff in there,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
so I liked this, and I get the idea of I agree that you're saying it's a lot to go through to get payment, but I like the idea that we're setting up how meticulous they are, this organization, these gangs, into covering their tracks. It's like we're going to
Yeah,
really make sure that there's an explanation for where everything comes from.
right.
But in the end, it was kind of like, well, you remember that thing you remember when you won that bet against me? Oh yeah, here's the money, like but they
Yeah.
still did. I mean, but it was just like they came up with a simpler explanation, it felt like.
Yeah.
Um they were
No, I
I don't
mean,
know.
I mean, to build on that, I really liked that when, um, Shady Tree was just talking about that, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, so we can't just, like, give you the money, but then you, like, meet a friend and you remember they owe you money and you make a bet," and, like, the like, literal explanation he gave, great, I am on board. If j if Bond had gone to just, like, maybe a nearer racetrack or we only spent, like, I don't know, maybe 20 pages on this, all of
Yeah.
that would have made sense to me. It's just because it was so long that it was like, "Oh my
Yes.
god, this is just, like, painful."
Because
And
the
then
changing
and then
odds, what does it matter to us?
right,
You know?
it just didn't. And
Mhm.
then, like, the whole thing with, like, Felix coming in and being like, "I need to, like, bust up this, like, exchanging of horses." But then did he ever find the corpse of Shy Smile? Like, it
Not in
never
this
really
book.
got exactly, never really got wrapped up. So I was like, God, it was so long and it was so involved, and then it just kind of went away.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it was frustrating.
Yep.
I felt
I
like
I agree.
I felt like I appreciated Fleming's detail more about, like, look at all my knowledge about gambling when Bond, however, again, inexplicably went to Vegas. That felt a little more applicable because it was like, yeah, the Spang brothers have a casino there. Tiffany works there. Like, the reason for him going to Vegas was a little bit slim. But getting there and focusing on the atmosphere of Vegas was a really great way to, like, showcase his knowledge.
Yeah. Because I think the horse stuff would have been good if they just way shorten it and not focus on
Yes.
how the system of gambling and racing works,
Yes.
because it really wasn't important for what
Nope.
we had to know. And helping Felix a little more with the horse thing and maybe having a resolution there. So it's like, well,
Yes.
I have to go here to get paid anyways. I'm going to place a bet on a fixed thing and I'll
Yep.
get my money. Um, but Felix is there and he's going to throw a wrench in that plan. So I'm going to help him. And that extra communication to get my payment then after the fact will just help me further along communication with this group I'm
Right.
trying to get in deeper with.
Right.
Um, Going off to Vegas made sense for Bond. He would want to go to Bond, the where this
Exactly.
is being run from. But why
Exactly.
exactly he would be sent there is the part I think we'd agree is a little like, well, yeah, why there? Why,
Why would you why
unless
would you pay his
unless
expenses to go there?
right.
Like, is
Unless if
there literally no other way to get him, like, a gambling bet if that's how we're gonna, like, cover, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
It just felt, like, a little weird that they were, like, giving him all this money plus expenses for a job that really seemed fairly easy to me.
mhm,
Like,
yeah.
there's so little time spent on, like, the actual smuggling, and it went so smoothly that I was like, "He's really getting $5,000 plus travel expenses for this job? Like, this is insane."
But it's someone to not make mistakes, it's someone to not talk, it's someone to act normal, it's like,
Yeah, I just feel
it's a
like
high
Fleming
pressure
undersold
thing,
that.
even if it's yeah.
I think he just
I
undersold
mean,
that
for
because he spent
Bond, it's
so free.
mundane.
Yeah, but I just think, like, I don't know, I think Fleming just could have set it up a little bit more, made him sweat a little bit more. I don't know, made
Right,
something about the journey harder so that we would feel like he's earning this $5,000. It just all
right.
seemed very straightforward.
No, that makes sense that it would make sense that he would run into some sort of issue and resolve it. And then that would be more impressive and the money would be good. And maybe we'll
Mhm.
call you again. Because the only thing I
Right.
can think of for sending him to Vegas would be like if they were seriously eyeing him to do more
Right.
work. That's where you're going to go. You're
Right.
going to text and talk to the next person, so like, you might as well go there and get the payment. And if you do as you are told, follow
Right.
things to a T, again, prove yourself, like, you'll get a call for the next thing. So,
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like there were the essential elements for, like, building Bond's trail, but I think Fleming spent a little bit of time in the wrong places
mhm, right.
Too much at
Yep.
Saratoga, not enough. Like you say, it would have been really interesting if during the smuggling process something had gone wrong and Bond like did something really impressive to fix it.
Mhm.
Like the only pressure he felt was like the customs agent being like, "Oh, what do you shoot for your golf handicap?" Like
Yeah. Right. Mhm.
that was so nothing.
Mhm. Yeah, we could have spent more time with, Spang, with,
Yeah.
Serafimo or whatever,
Yep.
uh, because he seemed like an interesting guy. Obviously, he ran the stuff in Vegas there. He had his operation, and it was all a pretty harrowing event when he got taken in, but
Mhm.
part of what I liked about some of the other books was the back and forth and this like sizing each other up and like the understanding their opponent and their enemy and the guy you got to take down. And
Yeah.
we really didn't get that because it was pretty brief, you know.
Yes.
I like the other motivating factor that we had, like the what Detroit brothers or whatever, the guy
Detroit
with the
Purple
wart in
Mob.
his well, the guy with the wart in his hand, and what were they
Oh,
called?
yeah, Winton Kid. Winton
Yeah.
Kid.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, like, so I like that we had that motivating thing, like, he didn't like how he was treating the staff and you know, they went too far with the jockey and stuff. So we had
Yes.
that good motivating
That was
factor to,
creepy.
don't take a mud bath like that. Don't get put in a
No.
coffin from
No.
your mud bath.
No, like, and like, tied up with your towels and oh god,
Mhm.
no.
Mhm. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Mhm.
I did read that that was so I haven't seen the movie, but I did read that that was part of the plot in the movie, but it didn't happen from the same characters to the same character. But that element of, like, burying somebody in, like, boiling mud did happen,
Okay.
and I was like, "Oh god, that would be effective and creepy."
That vaguely rings a bell. Very
Okay.
different. Yeah. Because I did watch Diamonds Are Forever this year, and
Oh,
already I've
okay.
forgotten a lot of it. It's
Okay,
it's it's really not good. I really don't like it. I
no.
know there's some apologists for it, but it is not a good movie.
It
Oh
doesn't
my
seem
god.
it from I didn't care about spoilers for the movie, so I just, like,
Mm,
read the synopsis, and I read the short and the extended, and it seems so wild. It seems ridiculous. Like it starts out again with, like, diamond smuggling, and, like, that seems normal, and then it just goes hog wild with, like, we're using the diamonds to buy the space laser, we're gonna destroy, nuclear weapons and then have an auction so countries can become the next superpower with my weapons. There's a character in here called Plenty O'Toole. Come on now. That's like so on the verge of Austin Powers. Oh
mhm.
god. Yeah, it like everything about it I was like this is ridiculous and over the top. And I
I mean,
don't
I think they
understand. Like
yeah,
apparently there were like there's a scene with like clones because
right.
Blofeld is back as, like, the bad guy, and he, like, makes some clones, and there's, like, multiple Blofelds everywhere, and
Yes.
it just
Yes.
like, I was reading through it, like, "What
Mhm.
the
The
hell?"
only thing I can think of that because that was one of the things that stood out to me. I was thinking, well, maybe they took from the book the idea that you
Oh,
didn't
sure.
know who was like in charge and how many there were and like who was who
Sure.
exactly. So there is a confusing kind of thing where Bond doesn't
Sure.
know who the real one is and it's like fake and whatever. And but I, I keep reading these books and thinking, why didn't you just basically make the book? Like, why didn't you
This
just
book is so
essentially
good.
do that? I know,
I mean, I
like,
know we,
there's a
like, ripped some
lot
elements
here.
of it, but there's, like
Right.
it's the plot is really simple and straightforward, and it makes sense. And if you just
Mhm,
made some tweaks, very small tweaks like we've talked about, this would be great. This would be an
mhm.
excellent story.
Yep, yep, and
Like, there were several moments
it's
I know I put in the notes where I was like, I could see the movie here. Like, the opening
mhm,
is awesome. I could totally see that opening scene. I could see Vegas. I could see, the train would be a lot of fun. Oh, the telegram part at the end where, like, MI6 is telling James, like, hey, they've got Tiffany and, they're gonna kill her, and I could just, like, see him reading that and
Yeah.
them being on the ship cabin being like, "Oh my god,"
Panic. Yeah,
like,
right.
panic, "They're only going
That's
after
very
her, I've gotta
tense.
get her." Oh, it was good, it was good.
I
I could see
was
all of that.
definitely in this, like, okay, how, because there weren't that many pages left. I'm like, okay, we had this big final, it seems like final thing, but
Yep,
there's gonna be more. There's gonna be someone on this ship. What's gonna happen exactly?
yep,
And it didn't go down how I thought. Like, we had good
mhm,
character moments between Bond and Tiffany. We spent a little
yep,
time on that. And then when things are looking good, of course, you take it away. And the way that it was handled was good, exciting. It
yeah,
wasn't like barge in the door. It was, and again, like some of the Bond's thoughts about, like, don't look down, don't look up, think about,
mhm.
just there's
Very
soft
real, very
landing beneath
human.
me. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, like, how do you
Um,
cope with, like, this danger? And we got some, like, glimpses into his psyche that way, which were really interesting.
hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I can see that being, they're just right. It translates well to a movie. And then we had, so if you look at like the derby sort of stuff, the racing, that's pretty driving, and that sort of scenery and stuff makes for good landscapes and stuff in the
For
film.
sure.
Going to
Shorten it
Vegas,
up.
obviously you can, right. Going to Vegas, obviously you can do fun
Yes.
looking, good looking stuff. And it was really sad because they do feature Vegas in the movie, and just at the time, I
Yeah,
feel like it's not showcased well. It could be
yeah.
shown a lot better now,
Well, it
but,
feels like there are a lot of extra people, like like, there's, like, a casino manager, Shady Tree is somehow, like, a stand-up comedian. What? Like, the Circus
oh, you're looking at the
Casino.
movies. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
looking at all of this stuff. It just feels like it's just it got weird. It
Well,
got weird.
everybody's so worried about, like, having to raise the stakes and always a bigger and bigger threat. Marvel's doing
Yeah.
this too. It's like, and when you do that, you often stop focusing on the character things. A lot of
Mhm.
times, the plot, not all that much can happen, but it's really interesting because of the character drama and interactions. And in
Mhm.
this book, it's really good stuff between Felix, Bond, and Tiffany. I think those are all, that's all
Mhm.
good stuff there, quality things.
Mhm.
Um, and so we should talk about Tiffany. Let's talk about Tiffany Case.
Yeah.
What do you think about Tiffany Case?
I like Tiffany Case. I love her name and I love her backstory. Um, and thought I thought most of what she interacts with, like, when she tells her backstory to Bond, I felt like that was all, like, so believable, how she got to where she is, kind of why her demeanor is off-putting, and a little bit closed. I thought their, like, rescue and rendezvous at the end worked really well for me. The only thing that didn't quite work for me is her quick attachment to Bond. It felt a little convenient given her background and, like, the way that she has been treated by men and attacked by men, for
Hmm.
her to suddenly, for not any discernible reason, I could tell, be attached to Bond. But if you skip over that that piece, everything else worked for me.
Sure. Uh, y- I was worried. See, to me, I was worried that they were going to either, I was worried she was going to flip too fast, but I think I liked the pace of it well enough, because looking back at it, she seemed to think, like, after they separated initially, that she sort of had some sort of realization that he wasn't just some crook, and that maybe like he'd be her way out. Like he was someone different. And so like I don't know what parts went on in her mind over the time that they
Yeah.
were not together at all, that she might have started to soften. Whatever impression was made there and whatever
Yeah.
imagination she started working up about him.
Mhm.
Um, and then
And
it kind of
I
culminates
liked
in like, yeah, I don't know.
No, I was just gonna say I liked that her explanation as well. I just wish again, kind of like with the actual smuggling, I wish there'd been like a moment where I could like point to and be like, sure, I get where maybe that thing that he did sort of like was eye opening or was like, oh, really made you think. She says that, but she doesn't like point to a specific action or thing. And I felt like I needed that.
Hmm. Do you?
Where like in the smuggling thing, like I needed him to be impressive so that maybe the Spangled Mob, which I can't with these names in this book, but the Spangled Mob would be like, "Oh, you're so impressive. Like, let's bring you on for more." I needed a thing in their interactions where she would be like, "You're different." And this is the thing I can point to so that when she does do that look back later, I'd be like, "Sure, gotcha, follow you. This is why you're attached to him," as opposed to like any other random smuggler that
Mhm.
you work with.
I'm of I'm of two minds about it because on one hand, I think that like it could be as simple as she warned him of how dangerous the mob was.
Mhm.
Bond knew of it. Felix warned him all the times, and he stood up to him anyways. He like caused a scene at the casino, and then like the way she's described when he fights off the two guys in the saloon,
Yeah.
to me is like a groundbreaking moment for her. Probably like he's you can imagine her getting sucked into this world and being surrounded by criminals for years now, and finally someone comes along that isn't one of those people, seemed to like her, and is willing to put his life out there and stand up against the power that is this mob. And that being impressive and the kind of like shaking just
Mhm.
her. I, there was a phrase in the book actually about like just being on a path or on a track or familiar ground or something like that. And then
Oh,
Bond's like,
yeah,
well,
the
you're not
groove.
anymore. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like breaking her out of that groove and all of that fog and all whatever life that she's just going down the path of. So there's
Yeah.
that. But
I
I
I feel
have.
like oh, sorry, just to add on that really quick, I feel like that actually would make more cinematic sense where we could see her reacting to that, and I feel like I could buy into that more. Your explanation works for me, but I feel like I would need to see her face, and I would need to see, like, the realization coming, you know what I mean? Or,
Mhm,
like, the awe, the impress, something in her reaction where I would be like, "Got it. That's the trigger."
sure.
Where you know what I mean? That would actually be a great cinematic moment. But anyway,
Mhm.
you were gonna continue.
Well, I mean, just but part of me, like with the way she was set up before, would just see some of this like as just too brash. Part of her would just be like, this fool, like I've
Mhm.
warned him, and I don't know. I don't know. It's like just ultimately, I was happy with how unique she was. She was
Mhm.
quirky. She did have an interesting backstory. She's damaged. Bond understood and respected that too. Like
Yeah.
he sympathized with what she'd been through and didn't get too pushy with things,
Yes.
He
Yep.
himself expected that she's not going to just come out of her shell. And a lot of what I saw between the two of them was a very Bond Vesper relationship that from the movie
Mhm.
portrayal anyways. Um,
Yes. I
except she
agree.
was more fun. Vesper is still always so uptight. She's still
Yeah.
always so buttoned up. And yeah, and Tiffany was more fun.
Mhm.
So,
And yeah, she had some great quotes, obviously. She had some great, like, moments, and this book I felt like got into a little bit with her and with other characters, got a little bit more philosophical. Like,
mm,
obviously, her quote is the ending line of the book where, "It reads better than it lives." Like, I loved
mhm,
that. I love that from her, that bit of philosophy. Um, that was really fun to kind of have her and to kind of be introduced to her, um, as a character who might stay, who Bond could maybe see himself with. That
right,
was that was different, and that was, I mean, if we're comparing, like, film Bond girls, that was like, Teresa, Bond finally gets married that one time. Like, she felt
right,
like
yeah,
this could be a long term.
mhm.
So, obviously, I'm, like, excited to keep going, and I know
I
it
know,
doesn't work
it's
out that way, but it was really interesting.
definitely is the thing that has me want to read the next one right away because I'm like,
Right.
"Well, what happens here?"
Right.
Um,
They
and
I
I
mean, the
like
book
that.
leaves it off with a lot of possibility.
I know. Yeah, and I'm anticipating in dread of whatever it is, you know?
I know.
Um, it's too
I wanna
bad.
know, but I don't wanna know, but I wanna know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and, like, speaking of, wanted to bring this up for a while because
Sure.
Bond says, like, if we were to be married, there's a man I basically have to divorce. His name starts with M. And, I wanna talk about M because it's such a different dynamic in the
Yeah.
books versus the movies.
Yep.
James Bond has such an admiration and respect for not only for the
So
position that
true.
M holds, but for the man as well. That is made very clear. And it's not made clear in the movies. In the
No.
movies, it's very like argumentative. M is very like kind of scornful, like, understands Bond is gonna get into trouble, kind of come on, stay on the straight and narrow, Bond, this sort of thing. Again, it's kind of they're doing that thing, and Q is kind of all of it. It's just so it can be more and more witty and
Yeah.
standoffish. And so I prefer the dynamic here. I actually like it a lot.
I agree. I think it starts out in a place where, like, the banter is supposed to be playful but respectful, and just, like, it evolves throughout the movies to not to a place where
Yeah.
it's not respectful, and it's not you don't feel that admiration. When they banter, there's, like, not like vitriol, they don't hate each other, but there's something edgy behind it. That's
Yeah.
not like we have a mutual respect for one another. You know, we're out there doing very different jobs at the end of
Hmm.
the day, but we're working towards like mutual goals, and we respect the talents and the skills that the other has that I don't.
Yep.
And like you said, it's very apparent in this book, and
Mhm.
it's something that gets worse or is missing more, I think, as the movies go on. They bring it back a little bit. Um, Obviously, like, I don't know, Daniel Craig and Judi Dench really go up and down with this. Like, Skyfall gets back to that sort of like, I appreciate you, but they do also have some really just like tense, almost I hate you moments too. So, yeah, the
Mhm.
dynamic is very different there.
See, that's part of why, like, honestly, I think, I love the original M in the movies, and I do still
Mhm.
like that portrayal. I just prefer this dynamic in the books.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, but I do think that's an interesting thing when they switch then to Dame Judi Dench because it is a different M, and I'm more okay with that dynamic with her. Like, for
Mhm.
me, that works better, and it, 'cause
She's
I
such
don't
a
know. I
different
mean,
portrayal, you know what I
yes,
mean? Like,
it's okay. It separates itself more. It's
yeah. I mean, they're separate, but, like, you can clearly see how much she cares.
Mhm.
Like, I'm thinking of,
World is
what's
not
the one where
enough.
is that the one where he starts out, like, where he's gonna take the jet? What is that one?
Oh, that's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, that one,
He's
and,
gotta
like
get the nukes, so he's gotta get the nukes
yeah,
away because the
and then
missile's
they
incoming.
right, and they think he's dead until he comes over the
Yes.
speaker and everybody is like and you can see her do it too, so she
Yep.
clearly cares, but yeah,
Yeah.
like, their face to face is more combative, but it works
Yeah.
because she's just a different portrayal of M.
Because I can see moving from the books, like the way Bond would be interacting with M or something like that, and then a new M comes in, and then not
Right,
having the years of rapport and
right.
like
The
having a different
admiration,
relationship
the
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
mhm,
So I don't know.
yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I wrote down a pro tip for everyone. Just so
Oh,
that
yeah,
you know, don't order
I
asparagus
saw
on a
that.
date. Just
I saw that.
putting that out there. And then James Bond is one day spending time in a hotel and he takes 4 showers?
Yeah,
What is
it
happening
was
here? Your skin
so
is
excessive.
raw.
There was a lot
I
of showering in this in this book.
I don't understand. So, hmm, yeah, I didn't get that. I did, Fleming makes note, as we've talked before, to mention specifically food and brands and cars and clothes and all that sort of thing. And,
Mhm.
but I was waiting for them for Bond to change up his attire and for that, or to be specified when he got to Vegas,
Yeah,
because he made such a deal of the heat and his shirt sticking to him and his cab
yeah,
driver telling him, "Hey, only people looking for trouble are wearing jackets. They figure you're carrying a piece in there," and like all this sort of thing. And so I was
yeah.
waiting for Bond, like, okay, well, I'm gonna do inside the waistband and whatever, something different. Tell us what it is. And we just never really got anything.
Yeah, no, we did not. No, clothes were very important at, like, the beginning of the book because, like, we went through his whole, like, packing for the smuggling and, like, his cover
Yeah.
story, and then it felt like it trailed off.
Yep.
Like you say, like, there were notes here about, like, when he gets to Vegas, like, only guys in jackets, X. But, yeah, we got less about, like, what Bond himself was wearing and more, like, characters talking about it
Hmm.
rather than, like, Fleming describing it.
Yeah. Right. Yep. That's true. Um, I also thought that spies shouldn't talk so much on the phone about important things, because
Oh,
when you have, especially when you have an operator dealing all this stuff, they can hear
oh,
you.
yeah.
Like,
Yep.
like, I didn't understand that. It's like
That
you
was
better be
weird.
more
Yeah,
coded.
right, right.
You
Simpler
you pick up your
times.
ship phone and you say, give me Tiffany case. Don't say anything important. Like, I don't know,
Right,
like, so I just thought that a couple of times, like, Bond should know better, to me,
right.
to be more careful with that. So,
Completely
yeah.
agree.
I did like the moment in the hotel though, where it's like mentioning what the tape recorder that's the bug in his room is picking up.
Yes, the
It's like
piano
wasted
wire.
this much tape on,
Yep.
this or whatever. And then, yeah, I like that
Yeah,
a
there
little
were
bit.
several really fun elements like that that Fleming threw in, like, when, that moment I love that moment too, really, or when, Wint and Kidd get on the Queen Elizabeth ship with them, and he sort of, like, circuitously takes us to, like, this guy with the white hair and the bracelet that said my blood type is F, and you're like, "Oh, it's them."
Yeah.
Like, he did have a really fun, like, you know, way of being like, "Ah, it's a spy novel and people are in
Right.
disguise and, bugs are in rooms." Like, he did have
Hmm.
some really fun moments like that.
Yep. This is the first book, speaking of like, so like spy moments, we associate like gadgets a lot with the films and stuff like that. In the books, there aren't really a lot of gadgets so far.
No.
And we also, think
Which is
of
kinda
Bond as like,
nice.
yeah, yeah. I don't. Hey, a gadget has its place, but
Yep.
often they're over the top.
Right. You don't have to
Um,
shoehorn them in all the time.
yeah. Um, and then we also think of Bond as sleeping around a lot. This is the first Bond book I've read where he has any sex in the book at all. Pretty sure.
Ooh, I
So I didn't read Casino
don't
Royale. That's the one
feel
you
like
read yet. I didn't.
I was gonna say I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like there's at least one of them I'm not thinking.
In Moonraker, no, because she basically is with someone.
No,
They
I
get
know.
right, and then in Live and Let Die, there's uh, Solitaire,
Right?
and they make out on the train, but it's like it's not time. Like, we don't have
Yeah, no.
time.
I mean, I know in the movie they do, but I'm pretty sure in the book they I think he might in Casino Royale.
Okay. See, I can see that. That makes sense. Vesper. That makes sense to me. I haven't read
I'm
that one. So between
I'm
Moonraker,
pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, he like you said, he doesn't, like, sleep around as much as he does in the movies, but I'm
mhm,
pretty sure there's been once in one of the books I read, and I think it's Casino Royale, but I have to
it's
think
got to
about
be.
it.
It's got
It's
to be.
gotta
It's
be,
got
yeah.
to be Vesper. It's got to be Vesper. Just in the other two books I've read, nobody. Any like, y- you know, the women are really impactful in each of these stories and important to him in one way or
Mhm.
another. And so far, I like the way they've done it. It doesn't feel
Right,
like the woman of the book.
right.
Let's just, as you said, shoehorned in because it has
Yeah.
to be. Like it feels natural. The character feels fleshed out, and
Mhm.
just another one of the tropes of the movies of Bond just sleeping with like three women per film is just does not bear
Right,
out in the books.
right,
So
which is nice because it
yeah,
does,
I
like
mean,
it does get a bit much.
when it's Roger Moore and it's like, look, I get it if there's scenes coming up where Bond sleeps with someone to get information, but like in this one, he specifically says he won't use her that
Yes.
way.
Yes.
Like, not this woman. I'm not going to do
Yep,
that to because
yep.
of how
Her
damaged she's
background.
been.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yep. All right. What else? What else have to say? You have a summation here, or like something we've really missed? Quite a bit happened for
Um,
such a short book, but
yeah. I thought this book was fun. I mentioned this earlier because we got, like, some philosophical peaks, including, like I mean, like, when Bond kills eventually one of the assassins, Wint well, he kills both of them, but he's, like, looking at Wint's body, and he's, like, getting philosophical about death. Later on, he gets philosophical about death and diamonds being forever, are the only things that are forever. There was kind of fun moments like that, like you said, going down the ship and being like, "Okay, I can't think about this, like, this is how I have to think about it so I can, you know, um, make this,
like
like,
make
really
peace.
dangerous." Yeah, "This really dangerous thing happen." So we got these, like, interesting glimpses into Bond's psyche, but I also felt like there was a moment I can't remember where it happens in the book, but Bond is basically, like, disgusted at himself, and he's like, "I'm so tired of living this, like, double life, and I just wanna, like, be myself." And I just thought it was
Mm,
really interesting. There's some moment, I think it happens in Vegas, where he's like, "I just wanna be home. I just wanna be me. I don't wanna be here." Like, it was
yep.
like, it was just really this book got a little bit in depth of, like, the weariness of the life and, like,
Yep.
the toll it's taking and how he's dealing with this, like, death that he's dealing to other people. I really enjoyed it.
hmm I can't remember if the scene because I remember what you're talking about now with
Sure.
the I'm like admitting I'm homesick. Like I miss,
Yeah.
you know, b- is that I think that's a separate
It's like
scene from when he
He's
said,
like,
I'm tired of being jerked around here and I want to
yes,
do my
yes,
thing. I think that's separate, but yeah, I know I don't remember that was yeah, when was that? That was earlier. And I
right,
forgot how he resolved that or what he did to like shut that out, that feeling,
right.
He did
I think he
something
ended
to
up he was like, "I have to move this forward." 'Cause I
okay.
think that was then,
Maybe
like, the point where he was like, "I'm gonna go gamble this and, like, take
okay.
control because I hate."
So then it was around then, maybe, yeah.
It was
Mhm.
close to there, but they were, like, distinct separate beats.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I like those insights, and it makes the stuff that like when Craig does some of the more emotional things that some people don't prefer as much. It makes those feel more makes him more of that character. Like if does
Right.
fit in, He's
Right.
not, you know, uh impenetrable ice face, no emotion
Mhm.
sort of thing. Um
Right.
so
He ruminates on this stuff, and sometimes it sticks with him in good and bad ways, and
mhm.
yeah, I really liked that piece of this book. Like, I felt a little more of that. I felt more a little bit of the toll this was taking on him, um, and obviously, like, we have more books to go, so it's not like this is the thing where we're done, but
Right.
it's just realistic, like, that he would think about these kinds of things from time
Yep.
to time.
Yep. I like this. I like the book a lot. I thought the
Mhm.
opening was really good, really
Ugh,
unique. It was an
opening and closing.
intriguing. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way it books ends that way, it comes full circle. I really like that. It's. I like that you mentioned the kind of philosophical elements of it. I love Tiffany Case. I
Mhm.
love the car talk. It. It The pace of the book was good and a lot of fun stuff happened. A lot of danger was there and thwarted. I just needed the gambling stuff and gambling it's a word lingo just taken down
Yep.
a lot.
Yep.
They even spend time on the ship, too much time, people betting on the time that they were gonna get there. I like
Yeah.
the scene, but you don't need the minutia of that, you know?
Yes.
Um because it was about discovering the people in the back that were there
Yes.
to get you that you couldn't quite connect at the time. And
Yes.
but other than that, a really fun ride. Um,
Mhm.
it's I'm excited to continue. And God, there's one more thing I really wanted to say about this. Um, the the bourbon and branch water is getting to me, I guess. Um, I
Juan
like
did
that.
order quite a few of those.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. That's for
You
sure.
like
Oh,
yeah, sorry.
I liked how Bond in this one came off as a character a bit more. He felt not only the philosophical things, he just felt more rounded and competent. There were some other moments in the previous books where thought it was a little too reliant on luck, or Bond was being a little too brash
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
going in and getting himself in too much trouble.
Mhm.
And it just didn't look good for him. Like I understand, like it's an exciting story, and hey, you managed to survive and stuff, but this one just felt different. There was moments of like going in
Thought
and
it
like
out.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do in the casino. Like that was kind of ballsy and cool. It was a cool Bond moment. I'm just light the cigarette, 5 grand on red, and then it
Yeah.
hits, and then do later he goes in, he put the silencer on the gun, he's going in, he gets into the car stuff, he gets captured, but then he picks his moments to have a fight, and the fight was done really well. It was described
Mhm.
better than fights in other books. It felt
Yep.
more impressive. I really felt like a
Yes.
Daniel Craig kind of rough and tumble sort of fight sequence took place. And then even though he got the shit kicked out of him a little bit later because he like stood his ground. He was kind of like, fuck you. I'm going to, whatever. And then with help of Tiffany got out. It just had those moments. And then again, the rescue at the end. So he had their Bond moments that I honestly felt in the previous novels were sometimes kind of missing. It just, so I thought that was kind of a big notable difference here that I liked. So
yeah, there was like a maturity here, both for I think Bond as a character and like in his job, but also for Fleming in describing some of those moments. Like he faltered in other places, like we've obviously said, but I agree with you. Like some of the fights and like Bond picking his moments and not relying so much on like luck for things really felt like evolutions of his character and evolutions of Fleming as a writer of this
Yep.
series.
Yep. Yep. Excited to see where it goes.
Me too.
We the next book from Russia with Love is the last book we got to get done before the year's end. So we make sure we get in the anniversary year here, and then we'll see where we go from there. So, this has been Popcast on the Rocks, episode 154. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You should make sure you should subscribe in all the places. So, X, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all those sorts of places. Like, follow, share, all that sort of thing. We are on podcast directories such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The video version is available on Spotify. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you listen there. And our theme song was composed by Killing the Flower. You can check them out on YouTube and music streaming services as well. And then on our anime podcast, we always have Mike, TrackMouse34 on YouTube. Make sure you look at his stuff. He posted a new video not long ago, TrackMouse34. And MJ Honeybee. We got to promote all our friends here too. MJ Honeybee,
Absolutely.
She does Dead by Daylight streams. She's back at it. She's been getting a bunch in. And she streams on Twitch. So make sure to check her out and give her a follow. That should about do it from us, I think. That sounded kind of Minnesotan, didn't it?
A little bit.
That just should about to do it or something. I don't know what exactly it was, but not good. Wasn't good. Yeah, that's it. Andrea, thanks again for joining me. And we'll see everybody next week.
Sounds good. Cheers, everybody.